to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Whoa! Welcome in.
Oh man!
It's gonna be one of those shows.
That's not mid-season or off-season. That's mid-season.
No, that's the beginning of a season.
All right.
We just do whatever you want season.
We just began 2026, Mike. Just now.
I mean, it was like a month and a half ago, but
No. Football.
Yeah,
we're gonna. We have the Mayan calendar,
Right, yes. Yes.
and the NFL calendar. That's how I live my life.
Exactly.
I think I saw somebody talking about how, we shouldn't do New Year's the way we do New Year's. Like the New Year should be like when spring starts. You know what I mean? Because our New Year is like the dead of winter, and people are stuck indoors. Like it should be in association with spring and newness.
Well,
I get
we should rotate.
the
calendar.
Basically, what you're saying is the final month of the year should be like March.
Correct.
but I mean,
I don't know when spring starts because we don't have seasons in
based
Arizona.
off of where
we have
though?
hot or less hot.
Because the
Less hot's pretty nice though.
you have the reverse seasons down under.
Yeah, I don't.
They don't. Really
They're not
matter.
part of our world,
Yeah.
Mike. By the way,
I am sorry,
do
Australia.
you see we had the hottest February in Arizona in history by a lot?
I felt
like it.
It was like an
We
average. Our
didn't
average
get a winter.
temperature for those out
There's
there.
people.
No.
There's
I
people
know.
buried in
There's
snow,
people
man.
buried in snow. I want you to understand this.
You got it all.
Our average temperature this month was 69 degrees.
That's not cold.
That's pretty nice.
The highest previous was like 64 as a high average. Like our
Oh,
water
this
is gone.
This is not good for.
We don't
summer.
have snow runoff. We got no
Yeah,
water.
don't worry, snow people. We're about to get it.
Yeah. we are
we are doomed.
It's coming for us.
Oh,
I'll
boy.
say it once. I've been saying it for a while. We need to get this state indoors. We need to build
the dome.
We need to build a whole. I mean, I'm Team Dome on that.
Team dome on the state of Arizona.
Put the whole state inside of a dome. That'd take a while. I feel like.
That's a pretty big project.
Yeah, what is that city they're building over in the Middle East?
They canceled it.
The Line?
Yeah, it's done.
No, they're doing that.
No, I just saw
They
it
just-
got canceled.
Wait, fully canceled?
Yeah, we're done.
I think they built a couple houses.
That's the one where they built.
Also, because it
That's
was
Dubai, right?
it was
Dubai would put a lid on it.
ridiculous idea.
They canceled it fully?
What if we put a giant mirror in the middle of the desert?
Yeah.
Nothing will go wrong.
That actually really disappoints me. That was the first city that seemed like it would be from like Cyberpunk or something. You know what I mean? What is this show? What do
I
we
don't
talk
know.
about
We're
normally?
going to talk about rookies of last season and how they fared.
Because this is a fantasy football podcast,
Yes, it is.
and we are
About
the hosts
the
of that
weather.
show. It is Tuesday, February 17th. Welcome in one and all. Ultimate Draft Kit pre-order available at ultimatedraftkit.com. Order by March 1st, and you'll be entered to win a Listener League spot to play with us. The Listener League winner of this past year sequentially beat myself, I think then Mike, and then
Yes.
Jason
Well,
to win the
Jason
title.
really, he laid down on the
I
tracks.
beat myself in the championship. To be fair, I was in the championship.
To
but
be
yes.
fair. Yeah, so the very worthy winner is what I'm saying, but you could
My
win a
team was
spot.
awesome, and it got beat.
Yeah, I felt good about mine, and it went down. Lowest price of the year as well, ultimatedraftkit.com. Our quick question of the day, kind of around, wide receivers. What wide receiver are you the most nervous for next year? There could be a lot of reasons why, things that you saw over this past year, free agency, coaching changes, and any reason is fine, but is there a receiver that comes to mind where you are very nervous right here, right now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think I need to really explain the reasons. If you paid any attention to football last year,
Mika Egbegbo.
that's right. And that drop really hurt him. When Gronk came out and said
Mika Egbegbo.
that was the turning point for Emeka Egbuka
He
because
said that on a very
Yes.
large NFL pre-show.
he pre-Egbigbu, okay, He was 89 yards per game, 18 fantasy points per game. We're talking overall wide receiver 1 territory. Post Big Boo.
Well, to start the year, in his first 5 games, it was the second most fantasy points of all time to start a career, behind Puka Nacua,
and then
just in front of Malik Neighbors.
And then Big Boo happened, and from that point on, 41 yards per game, 6 fantasy points a game. That is the obvious reason why I am nervous. This is a player who I loved in college, made him a my guy going into last year. He is a good wide receiver. He was talked up through the entire camp process. Baker talked about this rookie is coming in, looks like a vet, does everything right, loves him as a man, just espoused as much as he could about this rookie, like telling people, hey, he is the real deal. You come out, first 5 weeks of the season, obviously it was correct. So what in the freaking heck happened to make it to where you couldn't throw the ball to him? He had all uncatchable passes. When the ball went his way, he would drop it.
I am really nervous because I feel like I'm so invested in Ibuka on a number of levels that I feel like my normal default reaction would be to find a super clear path to tell you why he'll be fine. Like, that's how I feel like my default reaction would be in this situation. Like, I feel biased towards his success. Whether it's I'm rostering him and had him as a potential keeper, he won't be a keeper anymore. I just love what I saw on the field and the player, and yet I can't get on this podcast and be like, well, I'm not worried about it at all. It's totally fine. Like, he'll be totally fine. It's not a big deal. Because I don't believe it.
Because the path that you would describe happened for him when it all went wrong. He got the opportunity to be the dude. Mike Evans was injured. Chris Godwin was gone. It's like, hey, wow, this great rookie, step up. And that's when he stepped down. So we don't know the status of Mike Evans, current free agent. I don't think it's
he got hurt too, and there's a lot of talk ever since the hamstring injury for him. Not the same player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe the situation around him really makes an impact. If Mike Evans is there, if Mike Evans is gone, Chris Godwin is fully healthy, if McMillan is a huge part of I think it's irrelevant. It's all about Ibuka. Is it a mental thing? Was it a physical thing? Was it maybe a little bit of Baker in there too, because Baker just had blinders on when he threw to Ibuka. I believe it's going to work. If I will have to, when we start statting out the UDK player by player, start at the team level, look at how many passing yards I think Baker's going to have, the percentages it goes. I'm going to put Emeka Ibuka as a player that I believe is
Your
going to.
Your chips are in?
My belief is in. I'm
chips.
holding some chips
Not all the
back
chips, yeah.
because I'm nervous.
Look, my player that I'm most nervous for at wide receiver, this is not going to be a surprise. I think a lot of people are annoyed, nervous, all of that. But for the first time this morning, I actually thought about maybe an unfortunate comp.
Before you give the name, I think it's the connection here of being nervous about Emeka Ibuka and being like your guy you're gonna name.
Which you can name if you want.
Okay, it's Marv. It's Marvin Harrison. I mean, this was
spoiler alert.
You're going into years.
Why would you do that?
I'm so sorry, but it's like, hey, year 2, first round wide receiver, Ohio. This is wide receiver you. Nothing. He will be just fine. And then Marv was not.
Oh, you're saying Ibuka's 1 year behind on that same path?
Yes,
potentially. Look, here's the comp I started thinking about with Marv and what people are going to have to reconcile. And the nervousness, it's across the board. Who's the quarterback? New head coach, Michael Wilson's emergence. Trey McBride's the true number 1 and will remain the true number 1. And if Michael Wilson gets more work, because I don't know, if I'm Mike LaFleur and I turn on the tape, I saw a lot from Michael Wilson. I didn't see much from Marvin Harrison. He had 3 weeks in his first 29 games as a top 12 fantasy wide receiver. Mike, there is a player that plays for Pittsburgh who you begrudgingly kind of got on board with at the very, very end, but mostly hated all offseason, and his name is?
Mike Calf.
DK Mike Calf.
I would like to file a motion.
To remove your name from his name?
Yes.
Motion denied.
No.
There's a reality for Marvin Harrison where he never, ever, ever meets any of your expectations for superstardom, but settles into the worst version of DK Metcalf that you could find.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
when I watch Marvin Harrison, like everything I saw from Michael Wilson was better than what I've seen from Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison has more often than not made the big play, not made the difficult play. He has made a handful in 2 years of plays where I was like, oh, and the rest have been very pedestrian. Even the production, it's plays any wide receiver should make. It's Michael Pittman, which is it's not disrespect to Michael Pittman, but
it's a good wide receiver.
It's like, dude,
that's not who Marv was drafted to be.
You spent too much draft capital to get Michael Pittman or the worst version of Metcalf. You were searching after
a Hall of Famer.
His pop-up.
Yeah, you were searching after a world-class wide receiver. I still believe. I still believe, and there is enough on tape. I know you're saying that Michael Wilson on tape definitely looked better than Marvin Harrison.
Were you watching Ohio State tape, or
I remember the Ohio State tape, but I mean, in the first 9 weeks of the season before he got injured, 55% of his games, he was a wide receiver 2 or better. Like that's a good clip for
2 wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Okay, how about the same exact thing?
So half the time he was a wide receiver 2 or better. I think you're making my point.
I don't think you understand I don't think you understand the percentages of. I mean, outside the top like 4 or 5 wide receivers who are up there 80-90% of the time, that's not a bad rate for a wide receiver at all.
But we want top 12.
Okay.
So you're telling let me put it this way. 45% of the time he wasn't even a wide receiver 2.
Correct.
On a week.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
You're getting with the Wookie. What is these facts? Get out of here.
Let me read you DK Metcalf's fantasy finishes in his career. 32, 7, 12, 18, 16, 31, 26. I hope that's not what we're reading off in 5 years. That's all I'm saying about Marv. Do I want him to succeed? Of course. But his play is so inconsistent right now. Whether those numbers are, those numbers notwithstanding, his play on a play-to-play basis is inconsistent. The great ones don't do that. The great ones, they don't go ping-ponging between what are you doing on that play and, oh, that was nice. That's my point. And I'm really nervous. Because who's playing quarterback for Arizona?
Yeah, I mean,
how long is the journey going to be from here to relevance?
That the quarterback issue is probably the biggest issue with Marv.
Yeah, I think it's Kyler. My guy that I'm nervous about, it is another first-round wide receiver, another top 10 wide receiver, is Rome Odunze of the Chicago Bears, and like Ibuka. The first month,
it's such a good name.
The first month of the season was great for fantasy because Mr. Rome put up 5 touchdowns in 4 games. 5 touchdowns in 4 games will absolutely keep you afloat. Rome appeared in, he got hurt at the end of the year. He missed 5 of the regular season games, but he played 2 games in the playoffs. So you're talking 14 games. He was over. Like, do you guys know the average to get to 1,000 yards now with 17 games?
It's like
59 yards.
Yeah.
He was, which that's, for fantasy, that's garbage. If you're telling me you're averaging 59 yards a week, that's not going to get it done. And even that mark, he hit it 5 times.
5?
5. I'm counting the playoff games too, which maybe you're like, hey, I'm not going to count the playoff games because he was coming off the injury. I'm going to count him because the issue is Colston Loveland, Mr. Loveland, Luther Burden. Like, DJ Moore is already not even in the equation anymore, at least in my opinion, for fantasy of who can be.
Fantasy, correct. In the financial equation.
Oh, yes. He's very much.
in.
He's a Chicago Bear. I'm saying he won't. Like, we aren't worried about DJ Moore or saying, hey, guys, I think the number 1 target for Chicago, it still might be DJ Moore. I think that is not happening. But you have 2 other guys who are top contenders to be that for the Chicago Bears. Mr. Loveland was not even really he wasn't part of the equation when Rome was having the good games at the beginning of the year. I'm very concerned for him, especially considering like the investment into Rome. It's like Marv, where Ibuka kind of fell a little bit in rookie drafts compared to how a first-round wide receiver normally. But people were in on Rome. People were very in on Rome,
Jason.
and I'm just like I don't know that there is a path for him to ever become anything close to what he was drafted to be.
These three names, I think at one point, if you threw them all on a dynasty roster, you'd be
Like,
Oh my gosh! If you had
maybe like 3 weeks into last year.
I've got the future
Yeah.
of the National Football League
like,
on my roster.
I will have a dynasty in our dynasty league.
Yeah, and
So
now you're
if
hoping like,
one of them
tell me
works-
one of them works out.
So put them in order of nerves for you, Jason. Like
Most
nervous
nervous
to least nervous about, because it sounds like Marv is your least nervous, probably.
Yeah, I think I'm most nervous about Rome. Not based on what I've seen from him specifically, more based on what I saw from Loveland and even Luther Burden. The fact that the Bears, I think, are going to be able to spread the ball around, and Rome, to me, profiles now as a touchdown-dependent player. He is
Sure.
not going to be the alpha.
Which he
That's-
can be good at that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He could have a season where he, only has 60 receptions, but has over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, and is really good for fantasy. That's, that's fine. But his pathway, like if the touchdowns don't come, he might be the third wide receiver on his team.
Can we just spread the production from Caleb Williams into all the quarters of the game, please, so we
Yeah.
can just see
Would be nice.
normalcy? I'm probably the most nervous about Ibuka in that bunch.
Sure, I
And I probably,
That's-
I would
that's
probably
funny.
be, I'd probably be the least nervous about Marv too. Of those three, I think that's because he is Ibuka could be the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 pass catching option. Rome could be 3 or 4. Marv, it's going to be 2 or 3.
And my list would be I'm most nervous about Rome. Second would be Marv. I'm least concerned about Ibuka.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes me happy, Mike. Persuade me no, not now.
Oh,
Just throughout
I-
the entire offseason, just persuade me, keep saying nice
he's going to need a
things.
constant drip
That's
of
it.
positivity.
That's it.
I mean,
All right.
Mike Evans is the first shoe that has to drop.
Yes. Off the team and into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. 4th ballot Hall of Fame
Yeah.
wide receiver. Mike
I am
Evans.
curious about current best ball ADP on these 3 players. What
Oh,
order?
yeah.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
haven't seen
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
what order do you think they're being drafted in?
This is awesome.
Wow. We're in best ball?
I'm going to
Yeah.
guess. Okay. Upside. I'm going to guess that Adunze is going ahead of Marv. And
Holy
I'm going to guess that Ibuka
Um,
is going behind both.
Okay. You're correct on one, incorrect on another. I'll tell you in a
Okay.
second.
Oh,
Mike's-
man.
I'm gonna
We're
guess-
playing Mastermind right now?
Okay. Yeah.
Crap. Okay, I think the first person would be... That's impossible.
Silence.
There's only 3 names.
Yeah, you just
gotta
I'll
gotta
pick
go
say
one
fine.
of
I'll
them.
go...
Shoot your shot.
I'll go Marv Ibuka Rome.
It is Marv last
Yeah.
as the
Oh,
wide receiver
boy.
33.
Something.
Yeah, 2 years.
Rome, wide receiver 28, and Ibuka is still being drafted pretty hot and heavy, wide receiver 23.
Okay.
Luther Burden, wide receiver 22.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
Oh, man.
That's right.
That feels
Oh,
that,
Luther Burden.
that feels dumb. to
Just
me.
another on the year of Mike that came on
Luther
at the end.
Burden is, I don't know if we can actually hit, but he is so good.
See, Luther
He's
Burden.
nasty.
Here's the thing: both Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, I think they're both super talented, and they share the exact same problem, which is
Colston Loveland.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
There was a switch in the NFL headquarters that said, "What is happening?" And Mike turned it to what I want to happen.
yeah.
That is literally click.
But Luther Burden is going to siphon off both these guys, and then each one of those two, they'll take turns.
Sure.
They'll be like, "Oh, this Luther is so good. Look, oh, Rome sucks." And then Rome will get 2 touchdowns in a row. You'll be like, Luther's done now. Rome's stepping up. It's just going to be like that forever.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're skipping news. We're pre-recording this show by a couple of days, and we're jumping into a rookie review. All right, here we go.
Rookie Review.
All right, we're going to take a little walk through the positional groups for the rookies in 2025 and compare them historically. And we're going to start with the quarterback position. So we want to see how this quarterback rookie class compared to previous years. Over the last decade, we only had 4 years where multiple rookie quarterbacks averaged 17-plus fantasy points per game in their starts.
Hard to do for rookie quarterbacks.
So 4 times in 10 years, or about as many times as Marv is a wide receiver.
And 17 points per game, the reason we're using that metric, that's basically what the quarterback 12 is on average over any given season.
So this year there were multiple. There were 2 rookie quarterbacks who hit that mark. And it's
Cam Ward.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
No. It's Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck. Now, what's interesting is neither of them really had this, like, it wasn't like the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Tyler Shuck came on at the end. Jackson Dart had a nice run, injury. What's going on?
Good run, injury.
Yeah,
Good.
so.
Nice individual run, injury.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, I mean, they were the most exciting rookie quarterbacks, both from an NFL and a fantasy perspective. It wasn't Cam Ward, although he played better over the second half of the year.
He did.
Probably had the least total at his disposal, I would say, in terms of
for sure.
of weapons, offensive line, all of it. For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say for sure.
I mean, I know I love Chris Olave, but there was not much else to work with.
Chris Olave is a great player. Juwan Johnson is a serviceable tight end. So
I think if you switch the quarterbacks, if you switch the quarterbacks, you'd be saying Calvin Ridley still had it, and you had Epic Isle Manor, and you had Chico Conquo.
I would disagree. Watching them, they were not good, and then I'm also including that coaching.
Sure, coaching.
Like, it's Dart is the ceiling play. He is the far scarier player who keeps running headfirst into the ground and into defenders, and sometimes his offensive line. And I am a little bit nervous about Matt Nagy being the mastermind of the offense for the Giants. You know, we talked about the Callahan stuff. He's the passing game coordinator. He's not as high on the level as Nagy is. Who Nagy has like 2 years of success, and those were with Mahomes. And then he had years of not being great with Mahomes, and then he had his own team, and it was awful.
And they didn't. You know, he's not taking a better role
right
somewhere else.
And then but Dart is the player who he runs. So for fantasy football, that's what we want. Tyler Shuck might end up being the guy because he can make all the throws. He does run enough, or to boost the floor, and his coach gives his, like, Kellen Moore. I mean, we get hot and bothered by a lot of different coaches, and people might be like, I'm tired of hearing about it. Wherever Kellen Moore has gone, there has been fantasy goodness because of how he runs his offense. Specifically fast-paced. When you are playing when you get multiple snaps more per game over the course of the season, it really, really adds up. So while Dart is he's the one I prefer, no risk it, no biscuit. I think it could easily end up being Tyler Shuck, who's just this real steady top 8, like top 6 to 8 quarterback for fantasy.
I think one of the best things Kellen Moore did was entrust Tyler Shuck to throw the football and make bigger plays.
Yes.
And give him responsibility. Like, sometimes these offensive coordinators can just try to do too much protecting of the young player, and then you don't get to see enough.
I think they protected him in the right way, which was via Spencer Rattler.
Sure.
They gave him time to not
just by comparison to Spencer Rattler.
Look how good Shuck is. But having Spencer Rattler win the job, start in week 1, and letting Shuck have the time on the bench, that could have been helpful for him, even though he played 20 years of college.
So fantasy-wise, looking at, those are 2 guys over 17 fantasy points per game in their starts, and Jackson Dart, by the way, 5th best among rookie quarterbacks ever, averaging 41 rushing yards per game in those starts. But among the quarterbacks that have done that, have gone over 17 fantasy points per game in year 1, 50% of them were a top 5 quarterback within the next 2 years.
That's wild.
So, shoot your shot, right? I mean, year 2 jumps for Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, for fantasy-wise.
I agree with Mike. If you have to call your shot on one of these guys being top 5, which is a real fantasy asset,
It's Jackson.
it's got to be Jackson Dart with the incredible amount of rushing that he does.
He did all that without Malik.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the
that's
worst
wild.
receiving core, Wandale and
I think Wandale's good.
no, Wandale's good, but I'm saying that's his best. He's not as good as Chris Olave.
Agreed. Yeah.
So maybe Dart. I mean, all 3 of these guys did not have a ton to work with.
There you go. So, look at those other quarterbacks who hit 17-plus fantasy points per game. There was some regression in year 2. Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, Bo Nix, those are players that their fantasy points per game decreased by 3 fantasy points per game. We might have been having that conversation about Jaden Daniels had he gotten more of the season too. Like Jason brought up frequently how nice their schedule was in his rookie season. Year 2, we didn't see, like when we did the True Series and we talked about Jaden for a minute, like we just didn't see the peak games in the in the few that he got. But and we'll see where Cam Ward falls in next year with, maybe an extremely talented wide receiver being added to the roster and some offensive line improvements.
They got to do something.
And spending a lot of that capital, new head coach, new offense coordinator, Brian Dable. Like there is a lot of reasons.
Being drafted at the 101 buys him time. Bryce Young is still playing because if Bryce Young was drafted in the 2nd round, he would have been moved on from already. And that's where Cam Ward can compete with Tyler Shuck and Dart from not so much Dart, but Shuck. If things go wrong, the rug can get pulled. If things go wrong for Cam Ward, it won't get pulled. But
yeah, he'll probably get.
I would still
years.
definitely bet on both Dart and Shuck over Cam Ward.
Do you realize? When you look behind the scenes, I know the fantasy numbers weren't prolific or anything, and again, his weapons sucked. But I'm looking at Cam Ward's game log right here. Right, he started the year and he threw 4 touchdowns and what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 interceptions. Okay. You come out of the bye week, and I know we said the coaching change happened, but also the bye week and getting into the speed of the league. You realize from the bye week on, he threw 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 touchdowns and 1 pick.
I didn't realize the interception.
He didn't throw an interception. He threw 1 interception from week 10 on of the entire season on a team that was constantly losing ball games and had to throw the football. I think that is what we all said, well, he looks better. Yeah. Well, I think that was a big part of the equation was like you're now running the offense. They were coming back in some of these games. So, I didn't know that either. I didn't know the touchdown to interception ratio was that good in the second half of the year, but
I don't think people should be out on Cam Ward. He needs to have some time to develop, have competent coaches around him. It's just he's more of a pocket passer. After the bye week, he had right out the gate 2 games with 30-plus rushing yards. Okay, that's like we would definitely take that. That's really solid. But then the remaining 6 games, he surpassed 10 rushing, or he hit and surpassed 10 rushing yards twice. Like so, it's just it won't be there for fantasy because he'll be a pocket passer. So even
what pick do they have? 4 or 5?
Yeah, around there.
They're probably the top, at least one of the highly mocked teams to go. Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate. Like
if they get one of those guys, that'll be exciting.
They need to give him one of those guys
as the archetype of the pocket passer. He'll fluctuate.
Oh, for sure.
So Dart and Shuck, because they're running more, it's just better for our game.
All right, let's look at the running back position. Over the last decade, on average, we have had 3 rookies finish as top 24 running backs, either looking at points per game or total points. So rookie running backs, at least 3 on average. So you look at this year, and this is perfect timing because we just on the Thursday show last week talked about how there were 5 rookie running backs that finished in the top 24 in fantasy points per game. And that's, we've only seen that in 2020.
But only points per game because they didn't play all their games, basically.
Genty,
This is a weird season.
Travion, Hampton, Harvey, Judkins. But we also talked about how they were the literal 5 lowest efficiency running backs as well.
Mm-hmm.
So from a yards per carry standpoint, I thought that was kind of interesting. But we got 5. We got 5 of those names, but I don't necessarily think that any of them felt like that Bucky Irving level team addition because of the injuries, because of the inconsistency of when you knew you were going to get it from them. I think Travion had his nice window for sure, and Genty did too at the end of the season. Judkins seemed really impressive.
Yeah, I think all these rookies showed enough in their rookie season in bursts and stretches for extreme excitement for most all of them going forward. TBD on the Judkins injury recovery process. Outside of that, then it's really
Harvey's at the bottom of my list of those 5. Is he at the bottom of the list for you guys?
probably at the bottom of the list. I fully expect J.K.
Yeah.
Dobbins to re-sign
Yes,
and be
he is
back
for
with the
me.
Broncos, and that'll be a full timeshare. You're hoping that there is a year 2 leap in workload and trust for now a somewhat of a veteran running back. Hampton, they shouldn't have Najee there anymore. I think Hampton is very, very exciting going forward. He showed enough and will be the guy from day one.
It's it'll be interesting. Like, you want to see the efficiency get better for all of them, but here's the numbers behind the numbers here. Among the running backs who were top 24 in year 1, so there's 5 of those guys this year, 79%. 79% of them were top 12 the next year.
Yes, it is a incredibly good bet to make. But it's like, so the examples, McCaffrey, Kamara, Jahmyr Gibbs, pass catchers. Like you have to be a pass catcher to get into the top 12 unless you're Derrick Henry and you're getting 12 plus touchdowns.
Sort of feels like Judkins is the only one not in that category of these 5.
Which is not fair to Judkins. Like Judkins can catch. Like in college, he caught at least my
Can he catch or can he like Ken Walker catch?
I mean, it's just can you be reliable in that part of the game? And it's like Judkins. His last 2 years in college, 22 receptions in both of them.
It feels like he's
it's
the one.
part of his profile. They're just using him wrong.
Yeah, and it's also what else do you have around? Like Travion is going to be.
Yeah,
a
I know
pass
the Cleveland Browns exactly.
Well, no,
what else do they have around
catcher. Dylan
them?
Sampson was a very capable pass catcher for them.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like Harvey's the pass catcher. Travion's the pass catcher. Genty's
Right.
the pass catcher.
Travion should be the pass catcher. Unfortunately, Ramondre caught a ton of passes.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But that's a really
Travion
good.
is the most interesting to me because what he showed is that when he was all alone, he was a dominant force that made the offense better.
Right. Genty was already alone.
And then when Ramondre came back, they still said Ramondre's our starter.
And they
Ramondre,
probably-
and then you go into the playoffs and you had
still
They
you had
still
games
will.
where
They still will.
Him and Harvey feel the same-ish,
I
except
agree.
for more explosive for Travion.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah, what's the ADP? Like I see Genty's at 11, Hampton's at 15 or 16. Where are the other names? Like you're gonna have Scattaboo coming back, who we don't get to talk about, but really,
Scattaboo is being drafted in front of Hendo, Harvey, and Judkins.
and that's the order: Hendo, Harvey, Judkins.
yeah.
Yes.
I think we
Dude,
need
that's a tough one.
Man.
We will need health information on Scattaboo and Judkins before we know where we should be drafting them. I mean, if I knew Cam Scattaboo was fully healthy, he'd be right up there with Hampton to me.
There were big-time flops in that same category, only 33% of them. But in year 2, losing about 2.6 fantasy points per game, Dameon Pierce, Javonte Williams, Bucky Irving, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was a top 25 back as a rookie. By the way, that was the other 5 running back year. You ready for the names? So 2020.
Mhm.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah, you're still good. James Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Antonio
Draft capital
Oh,
matters.
yeah, and
Gibson.
Yep.
DeAndre Swift hanging around, and then CEH.
Whoops.
So let's take a break and we'll talk wideouts and tight ends.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And we're talking all your favorite sports: basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. And now Prize Picks has early payouts if your player gets off to a hot start. You might have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes, and all withdrawals are fast and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
All right, let's look at the wide receiver position since 2019. Did you have something you wanted to add, Jason?
Later.
Why'd you raise your hand then?
Well, no, I'm excited.
I would like to say something at the end of the show.
Call on me in about
Wait, hold on. Stop the show.
3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I need to say something in about 15
well,
minutes.
I can essentially lay this out since we're between running
Set a
backs and
timer.
wide receivers. I think it is worth looking at the overarching view of how the draft class was expected to play out versus how it did play out, and how that compares from 2025 to this incoming class of 2026, because they are inverse. Last year was a running back heavy draft class,
Right, yep.
where everyone was like, man, it's so deep. There are so many great running backs. There's super high-end talent. And then the next tier are guys that can be real difference makers. Wide receivers, there's like a guy or two we like, and then it's pretty weak. And that totally played out. It was just true. And we'll talk about that in a second when we look at what usually happens with wide receivers versus what actually happened with wide receivers. But this year, the expectation going in is the exact opposite. It's a very deep wide receiver draft class. There isn't a definite Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase. Yeah, I know. But
You don't feel that way?
I love Tyson. I think he is.
Is he your?
He's my number
He
one.
is currently
He's your
right
guys'
now.
both?
Yeah, right now he
I
is.
didn't know he was your
Guys.
one. Yeah.
I love it.
But the wide receivers, there's a lot. There could be 5 or 6 wide receivers drafted in the first round this year. That's great. Running backs, yeah, you've got Love, who you'll if you don't know the rookies yet, you'll know him. And then okay, there's a guy or two you can like,
Right.
and then it's pretty weak, man. So I expect this year to play out opposite of last year. I think you want to invest in rookie wide receivers and probably avoid the middle tier rookie running backs. But
Probably, definitely a good thing to mention as we get towards this next crop of, you're in the dynasty pass, you're looking at where we have our pre-draft rookie rankings. It changes, ebbs and flows year to year. And a lot of, we were talking about this with the NIL and with the collegiate level. A lot of players are going back. We had some quarterbacks we thought were coming out. They're not going to come out. You might have a 1 or 2 year delay until you start getting maybe even better draft classes than ever before because you've stayed in college for a couple more years. It's just you got to catch up to that if guys are going back and taking the NIL money, right?
yeah, it is worth noting. I mean, we don't know how many guys are going to go back to college in 2028, but right now, I know it's early, but for the dynasty players out there, 2027 draft class looks really good.
All right, wide receivers. Since 2019, we've had at least 4 rookie wide receivers finish inside the top 36 every single year. Last year, it was BTJ and Neighbors and McConkey and Marv and Xavier Worthy. In 2025, we had 2.
Exactly, and one of them,
And they weren't big
sucked.
fantasy. Like one was the rookie of the year, Tedero McMillan, and his fantasy finish was 17. And the other was Emeka Ibuka, and he finished at 20. So, and then Luther Burden is sitting there, and he didn't contribute over a long enough period of time to matter.
He was hurt at the beginning.
And it's exciting, but yeah, it was definitely. I mean, Brian Thomas was the number 4 wide receiver last year. Malik Neighbors was 7. McConkey was 12. We had 3 top 12.
mm-hmm.
This year we had 2 top 20, and they were barely in there. This was the fewest receiving yards of any wide receiver rookie class since 2018. So To your point.
What we thought was going to happen happened. And I know that there was more excitement when the Packers stupidly took Matthew Golden in the first round because it's like, oh, good, another first-round wide receiver. But the expectation—
Did he end up not doing much?
He didn't do first-round caliber. I think he did exactly what most people thought he would do, but not the Packers.
You mean score in the playoffs?
Yeah, for the first time.
That was too funny. Yeah, I mean, fewest wide receiver yards of any class since 2018. So, Travis Hunter, it seemed like there was an emergence about to happen.
There was like one game, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was that big game. It was
now,
in London.
And now, all of a sudden, because the emergence of the other wide receivers, Parker Washington looking good.
He had the 14 targets, 8 catches, 101, and a touchdown. And then it's like, went into the bye week and got hurt over the bye.
Yeah, but now there's talk about maybe they focus him more on cornerback since they kind of don't need him at wide receiver.
Which, that could delete
you
some value.
Just delete a player.
And Jaden Higgins, he had his moments, but he's mixed in with Jalen Noel, and some of it was injury to Nico Collins.
Hated, like, Jaden Higgins was a name I thought about talking about for our opening segment, but it's like, he doesn't have the—
Not important enough.
Yeah, he doesn't carry the weight with the name. The fact that, as games got more important, the rookies played less for the Houston Texans was very concerning. That is the complete opposite of what should happen if a team is confident that
Can I make a counter argument to that?
Yes.
What
in
Higgins,
15 minutes?
Talk to me later.
I'm preparing it right now.
What Higgins did when he was on the field was very good.
Yes.
He wasn't on the field as much, and I think that is more coaching rather than him not stepping up and just taking it over. I think
the question is,
but going into next year,
why?
he's not a rookie anymore, and I think the coaches are going to say, okay, now is the time to trust and blah blah blah.
I guess my only counterpoint would be that I didn't.
You're making it now?
I saw solid receiver play from Higgins, but not the stuff I saw from Tet or Ibuka at his peak.
Oh, certainly.
Or Burden. So it just seemed like, is this guy going to be kind of locked into like wide receiver 2-3 territory?
Receivers should get stronger as the season goes. You should not see less playing time. That's a red flag. That maybe it goes away because Higgins was an interesting prospect. A second-round pick. I'm okay with the player, but hate the ending.
I think you're more likely to see one of these names emerge than Jaden Higgins as a fantasy value in the next 3 years, which is, I'm going to give you some names. You pick your favorite. Just give me your favorite. They're all Mike's favorite. Literally, they actually might all be his favorite. Kyle Williams, Isaac TeSlaa, Pat Bryant, Jalen Noel, Chimere Dike. Do not forget, for goodness sakes, about Torrey Horton.
Sure.
Because Cooper Kupp's time, it's ending, and Torrey Horton was flashing 5 touchdowns and then forgotten about because and Super Bowl champ.
He had 13 receptions and 5 touchdowns.
And then Tez Johnson kind of opportunistically. But is there a name in there that you think, like, if you had to bet on one of those guys being, a wide receiver 2 perennially, is there a name?
The one I would expect to be the most productive next year is Pat Bryant, but it's because of the opportunity. Like, the way I saw it anyways playing out was that Pat Bryant was kind of solidifying himself as the number 2 guy behind Cortland Sutton, but then he just got hurt like every single game. Williams, it's tough. He had 10 catches, he had 3 touchdowns, he showed the big playability. I don't know what Vrabel's plan will be for Kyle Williams. Will he just continue to be that type of a field stretching gadget player? And then TeSlaa is, oh gosh, if we ever got to unleash TeSlaa, it would be incredibly fun. But Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams in front of you.
And Sam Laporta.
And Laporta is like, he needs the runway to clear before he even gets a
better make your big plays.
Yes.
Horton is the one that I think is going to be, he's pretty interesting to me and maybe more forgotten about.
Yeah, and I would throw Chimere Dike out there as interesting because he probably did the most this year of all of these wide receivers that you just named. And then if you look at how good he was on special teams, it just showed when he was on the NFL field against NFL defenders.
Yeah, he belongs.
He he is good. He is electric. And so if he gets more involved as a wide receiver, obviously the new coaching staff and all that, he showed enough to break out. And then I will not stand for it, despite him playing every game and doing nothing for the entire season. I still love Trey Harris. So,
Oh, dude, I'm in. I'm in
Trey
on
Harris
Trey Harris.
is a perfect sleeper candidate. You're going to have Mike McDaniel.
nice. First try.
I thought we were
can't-
calling him Mickey D's.
Oh, you don't want to put the D's on there.
But that's how
But it's like
what you
a
do.
wholesome.
Yeah.
You know. Anyways, well, yeah, Trey Harris is definitely interesting. At tight end, the tight end position, looking at the rookie review.
And we're getting a photo of the old school Michael McDonald. Okay, forget.
Oh my!
Not in love anymore.
Oh, we
Oh,
should
yeah.
just play
Dude,
that and play,
Michael McDonald
play that
rips.
out.
Yacht Rock, dude. He rips, man.
Yacht Rock.
Yeah, you've
Is
never.
that what that was
Yeah, yeah,
called?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Apparently Brooks was hoping you'd do an impression of Michael
It's
McDonald.
rock- it's
you
rock
know I
for,
can't.
rock for uppity rich
Dude,
people.
we were definitely jamming on that in the office at one
Dude.
point. I remember that.
I mean, it's regulators, dude. Like that's how much it rips.
Okay.
Warren G was like, dude, Michael McDonald rips. Let's go.
Oh my goodness! All right, tight end position as we close out our rookie review. Thank you. I was hoping. 2025 gave us the most targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns by rookie tight ends ever.
Makes sense.
Targets, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. Loveland, Fannin, Warren. Let's go.
Yeah, I believe it's bright futures for all three of them. And then there are still, behind those three excellent wide receivers, there are still guys that could – I mean, I don't think Terrence Ferguson is done. They use Meows and Taylor.
Oh, I
could-
thought you were saying Ferguson is.
Sorry, no.
Oh,
I was just saying another rookie.
But my favorite of all the tight ends behind is Oronde Gadsden, who looked outstanding in stretches this season. What a great tight end draft class this year. Not a very deep tight end.
Not very deep, but you could still have. I mean, Sadiq is going to go very, very high,
Sadiq will be interesting.
and then some people are more. I mean, more in on Stowers,
Yeah, there's some
Claire.
Yeah, there's some names. And if you want to hear more about the rookie tight end class, we kind of previewed the guys at the top on this week or last week's Dynasty pod. And I already got it. It's not going to surprise you, Andy. There's already a tight end who I really, really like.
Oh my gosh, Ben Sinnott's brother's in this class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike has a type.
Yes,
He
I
wants
do.
a big tight end that just mows people down.
Punish people. Be like, what crime am I guilty of? I am bigger than you. That is the crime, and you will be punished.
And that's why he did not like Meows and Taylor.
Correct.
Still waiting to break a tackle. Is that what we're?
Oh, we are
Any
still
minute.
waiting. Although,
Can we get rid of the old refrain that rookie tight ends take a while to develop? Considering the last 3 years,
Yes.
they didn't need to develop anymore.
I think that the only thing that you still hold on to is you don't assume that when a rookie tight end doesn't have a breakout season that it can't still happen.
I hear what you're saying.
That's a Gadsden.
No. No, the new starter for Washington, year 3.
Oh,
tight
yeah.
end breakout.
Vince
Coming.
Sinnott.
I'm
hear
not
it.
going to doubt Mike until this year is definitively over with something
Yes.
horrible happening
Yes.
to one of his predictions.
Unleash the senator.
We're not in
Oh.
love anymore.
Dude, we got to get this show over so we can just blast some Michael McDonald.
That is correct. But yeah, Loveland, Warren, you talked about some of the other names. I think Ferguson's interesting.
Yes.
So you two,
As is Gunnar Helm.
Gunnar Helm is sneaky, dude.
Literally
Gunnar Helm is
everyone,
very sneaky.
everyone, Loveland, Warren, Ferguson, Arroyo.
not so much.
Okay,
Warren.
not all of them.
Maybe.
There's 2, Arroyo and Mason Taylor. I am not very interested in, but everybody
Because
else,
you're a Barner man.
everyone else has a place on a dynasty
Arroyo's
roster.
only
And
20
I know
22.
we've talked about the trifecta several times already this offseason, but I just want to confirm for fantasy purposes. You guys, do you both have Loveland as the one you would draft first?
Of the
Yeah.
of the
three-
three,
of the
Yes.
three?
Yeah.
And I have.
I won't have to
Fannin.
draft him though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He'll already be on my team.
right.
because it'd be a keeper
Yeah, but
for my future title team.
right. I just want to remind
no.
the listeners
But I would
though,
if
that
he was
our
out there.
keeper situation is you're not keeping him at a pick. You're keeping your best 3 players. So he will be one of your keepers?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's like drafted him in the first 3 rounds. Would you do that?
He's trying to make this bad.
Sir.
He's trying to make this bad for me.
I'm
Sir.
just saying,
He's trying to make this bad.
Loveland's not going
Speaking
to
of the first
three
three
rounds.
rounds,
You
how many
can't
picks?
let go.
How many picks do you have in the first 3
You
rounds?
can't let go of your hatred of Loveland.
No.
I don't hate Loveland.
Yes, you do.
I'm mocking keeping him. He's not going to go in the top 3 rounds.
Where would he go? 4th round?
I think Loveland will be a 4th or 5th rounder, yeah.
He won't be in the 5th.
Our situation is positional. We force positional diversity as well. So it's not like we just keep our best
Right.
players. We have some like rule sets in there. But I like you trying to shame
Yeah.
my picks.
You
It's
darn
what I
right.
would do if I didn't have any picks. I would
right.
try to make other people's players seem worse.
We're the same again. Keep again.
Hit it. Hit that button.
All right, we're
outta
going to say
here.
goodbye. Yeah, we're out of here. Mock draft first round next episode. Don't miss it. UltimateDraftKit.com if you just need more good rookie chat. Check it out.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.